So first thing today, what I'll do is I'll just tell you how can you create an free AWS account. Okay, so that what you can do, you can just sign up yourself and you can start building the infrastructure in the AWS. You can start doing that. So I'll just tell you how you need to use an AWS account. Okay, so what are the services gonna provide by AWS under the free account? Okay, so how you need to deal with that. So everything I'm gonna show you. So just follow my steps, and the same thing you can do a practice from here. So what you can do is just you can follow that. Okay, so you can start doing that. Okay, so do you have any questions? You can ask me. I'll help you out.
Okay, sure. Thanks.
Okay, so so basically how the flow gonna be. Okay, so today what we do is we'll have a complete a flow, a complete an infrastructure task, how we gonna deal in the project. Okay, and what are things comes, so how what is the flow it going basically. Okay, how we gonna do. So I'll just explain the flow, complete flow. Okay, today. So if you have any questions, please let me know.
Okay.
Okay, so DevOps. So So basically, what DevOps need to do. So what they do basically DevOps. So DevOps is a team which they try to automate all the infrastructure tasks, whatever they have, right? So now, like so, when you got a project, first thing what you have to do. Okay, what is the basic thing we do? So basically, we build the infra, right? So we build the infrastructure. So for building the infrastructure, what we are trying to do, so we are choosing something called AWS, Amazon Web Services. So in Amazon Web Services, using what all services you can build an infra, right? So first thing you require a VPC, virtual private cloud, where you build all your networking stuff like creating your complete network range. Under that, you create your subnets, right? So under that, when you create your own VPC, and under that you create your own subnet. By defaultly, you're gonna get the private subnets, right? So by creating the route tables, okay. So route tables, what we do is we convert our any one of the private subnet into public subnet to create our web servers in that. Okay, so we create route tables in the VPC level, and what we sure is we convert any of our subnets into the public subnets. That's what we're gonna do. Okay, so once we done that, okay, so once we gonna do that, so what is the next thing we do? So basically, complete infrastructure, complete networking stuff, we're gonna see in the VPC level. So how you need to create the internet gateways, and how you need to create and how you need to integrate your internet gateways, or NAT how you create your NAT instances, and how you attach to your subnets in the route table, how you route it completely traffic, how you make your environment more secure. Okay, all those things we're gonna see under the VPC section. Okay, so once we done using that VPC, so the next thing what we do is we gonna use something called EC2, Elastic Cloud Compute. On that we gonna create our servers. Okay, all the servers creations we're gonna see under, like how you create servers, how you create your own images. Okay, so how you build our operating images, and then how you create your volumes, snapshots, and how you create your auto scaling group. Okay, and
Gopal,
how you
sorry,
deal.
I have a
Yeah,
question.
yes, yeah.
Which OS we are going to use in order to create an infrastructure?
So it's up to us, it's in our hand. Okay, okay, so in my training I gonna choose Red Hat.
Okay. Yes.
Red Hat or Ubuntu depends upon the application I use. Whatever the application supports, I gonna use that particular operating system. But like 90% Red Hat, 10% Ubuntu.
Ubuntu. Okay. So
Okay,
I
or
think
maybe
we,
50-50%, maybe
but
we'll go with 50-50%.
we need your assistant on Red Hat and Ubuntu, because I am more on Windows side, right?
Yeah. So what we do before starting this, we're gonna start with the shell script. Okay. We're going to start with the shell script. First thing, how to write the shell script. And first of all, we're going to start with the shell script, how to write the shell script, how to execute the shell script, how to execute your basic Linux commands, how you need to log into how you log into an Linux box using the PuTTY software, and how you authenticate Linux box, how do you execute your commands, how you compare with the Windows versus Linux when you're working. All those things. First we're going to start with this shell. Okay, because as you said, you are from Windows background, right? So let's start with the Linux. Okay.
Sorry to interrupt you. Hey, Gopal, this is Dinesh.
Yeah, is Dinesh.
So I have a question. Like whatever you were saying, VPC subnet routables and EC2 servers and imaging and all. So everything will be like we will be
Doing
doing on
practically.
AWS, right?
Right.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, okay, fine.
Everything, whatever I show you on my screen,
Mm-hmm.
everything I'm gonna do practically.
Okay, and within the that AWS subscription, which is free, that and we are going to.
So
Exactly.
how AWS subscription will allow me to use Linux, right? That
See, Amazon gonna provide around 7 or 8 operating system free images for you. Okay,
okay.
so they're gonna provide Ubuntu, Windows, Fedora, and Red Hat, Amazon Red Hats. Okay, so almost most of the used operating systems you will get for free. Don't
Okay,
worry about the operating systems. Okay, so like to build an infrastructure knowledge, all the services Amazon is going to provide free, and in EC2, okay, so they're gonna provide 750 free hours for you per month. Remember, okay,
okay,
that is
Oh, these are per
very
month,
large amount. Yeah, per month.
and those are
Okay, every
free, right?
month. Yeah, those are free. I'll go through that. Okay, when we go into the practical, I'll just show you how each and every service is gonna which is a paid one, which is a free service, at what level at free. No, and one more thing, on EC2 you can create only micro instances, not more than that. Remember, that will be only T2 micro instances are free in Amazon for us, with one CPU and 1 GB of RAM. Okay, with 750 hours per month, it's gonna be. Okay, so other than T2 micro, you should not create other servers. Okay, so after EC2, we're gonna see about S3, who you need to deal your with S3 bucket, all those things. Okay, after that, we're gonna deal with our this part, IAM,
S3
identity
stand for.
access man. S3 is a storage bucket. Okay, so where you need to store all your infrastructure related data. Okay, so when you have application, okay, or
So it's
maybe
like a C drive, right?
sorry.
It's kind of like a C drive of Windows, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like a drive on a server, but it's on the storage end where you have a there is unlimited storage which is provided by the Amazon, which you can store all your like you can store any kind of data, photos, videos, documents, or any application, our application related softwares, log files, anything it can be stored. So instead of storing on the server level, what we do is we store on the S3 bucket.
S3. Okay.
Okay, so that's afterwards IAM, identity access management. So here we're going to see how you deal with your access related things. Okay, so how you related access related in Amazon, how you need to give access to other people, how you deal with the access things, all those things we're going to deal in the IAM. And next thing, after IAM, we're going to see about RDS. RDS is a relational database instances where you create your database instances. Okay, so all your database instances, Redshift or MongoDB or MySQL, PostgreSQL, okay, MS SQL, all the databases where you do is we gonna create in the RDS related database instances. Okay,
And any kind
so
of database we can install there, right?
the what are the services which is provided by the Amazon, only we have to use that.
Okay, okay,
Okay, so there are some around that's what I'm saying: MongoDB, Redshift, MySQL, PostgreSQL. So most of the used databases are provided by the in the RDS, so we can
okay. So
use that.
yeah, by any chance, like it allows us to install SQL Server or
Yes. So you have
yeah?
an option seek for SQL as well. You have an
Okay,
option
okay,
there.
that's good. Yeah,
Okay, so you have an option for SQL as well. You can go ahead and you can install that as well here.
okay,
Okay, yeah. So this is what all the things we're going to see how to build our infra in AWS. Okay, so
okay,
here you see you creating in a network. Under that you create your database instance and EC2 instances, and where you manage all your storage in the S3 bucket and all the managed it, and we are going to see in IAM. So once we build the infra in AWS, so here uh, after that we see configuration management tools comes into the picture, where we deal with the Chef and Ansible. So using Chef and Ansible, we're gonna see how you automate your integration stuff on AWS. Okay, so how
okay.
you write down your automation code to automate your application installations, integrations, and configurations of files. Okay, all those things okay, all those things we're gonna see in the Chef and Ansible. Here I'm gonna tell you how to write the cookbooks. Okay, how you need to write the cookbooks, how you execute the cookbooks on the server, everything I'm gonna show you.
So, Gopal, I have a
Okay,
question. Why we are using like two different tools here? I mean, I know they are exist, but what's the difference between these two tools, Chef
okay,
and
so yeah, so what's the difference between Chef and Ansible is so uh, okay, if you want to execute some kind of task, okay, now you got a task, but okay, the task has to be execute. You want to execute the task. Okay, it should not execute by itself. Okay, you want to execute the task from your end, then you have to use Ansible in those kind of scenarios. If you got some task, okay, so and you have been assigned the task to Chef, then Chef will do on behalf of you. Okay, you no need of worrying. You got a task and you just inform to the Chef will do the task for you. Okay, that's a Chef mechanism. But he in Ansible, if you have a task and if you inform the Ansible automatically it will not do. You have to execute from your end using Ansible to execute the task on the servers. That's it. That how it works. In a Chef, we have the agent mechanism. So on what are the servers we created on Amazon, on all the servers we install the Chef agents. When you install the Chef agent starts get communicating with the Chef server. Okay, so when you assign the task to the Chef, automatically this task will execute on the servers level. That's how it works. But Ansible is agentless. Okay, so from you have to log into the Ansible server and you have to execute the script on the servers, remote servers. You in Ansible configuration file, you have to give the server name, username, password, and you tell Ansible execute. Then Ansible will go and connect to the servers and it will execute. That's the difference, major difference. Other than that, the automation what Chef can do, same thing can Ansible do. What Ansible can do, Chef can do that. The way the way they execute or the way configuration, the way they function makes a difference in both of them. So
so
few
pretty
clients
much
may ask,
both our tools are the one has been used for configuration and integration
management.
of the tool.
Yes, yes,
However,
yeah,
in Chef, you are saying it because the servers that we will be creating has the agent, the Chef agent, right? So both
yes,
it can execute automatically, right? Whereas
yes,
in
right,
Ansible, you had to execute manually, like assign it.
yes, right. That's the difference. So all the difference how you do that, we're gonna say practically and we're gonna write our code as well here. Okay. Next is Git. How you deal with your Git, how you upload your code, how you upload your source code. Like these are source code repository where you store all your infrastructure code. So what are the cloud formation templates are like? We're gonna, okay, in between you're gonna see Terraform templates as well. So Terraform is nothing but here using Terraform. So whatever the things we have done on AWS manually, the same thing I'm going to write some templates, automation templates, and execute on AWS. Okay. So like whenever we write our Terraform templates, when we write a Chef code or Ansible code, all those code where you have to store in your project, the place where on Git. Git is a place where you store all your project related infrastructure related code. Okay, so how you deal with your code and how you upload, how you when multiple developers are working, how they upload, how the conflicts comes, how you resolve the conflicts, everything I'm going to show on the Git level.
So it is kind of like a staging place where
Yeah.
you stage the code after
Yes, right.
package the code.
No, after the packaging the code we store in the artifacts. So that we say as we can, for storing our after packaging we store our artifacts in the S3 bucket, or few people might use something called Nexus or JFrog Artifactory.
So I
JFrog,
want to know
Nexus.
what is Git being used for, this repository.
So Git is a place of actual code you written, right? The templates, the Chef, cookbooks, Ansible, or maybe Java code or .NET code, whatever the code. Okay, the main source code what we develop we put into the Git. The source code we put.
But
So after
are we on it
let me complete.
developing a code here? Like code has
Let me
been
complete. No,
received
no,
by the development, right?
let me complete the flow, then your doubts will get clear. Okay, so whatever the code which developer writes, the source code, the code. Okay, now example, I'm a Java developer. I got some scenario. Okay, I write the code for that particular scenario, and I upload the code into the Git. So once we are done, we use uh, Jenkins. Okay, CI and CD tool. Okay, we use a CI/CD tool, and we use with the help of CI, we use something called Maven. Okay, Maven or Ant or Gradle, the build tools. We use the build tools and we convert the source code into binary code. Okay, so which is we say as artifacts in real time scenario. We convert these artifacts, and these artifacts are stored into the Nexus or JFrog or S3. That's what we're gonna do. Got it? So the source code comes into the Git. After that, we use the CI jobs and we convert our source code into the binary code, which is artifacts, and then stored in the Nexus or S3 bucket. It's up to you, the place where you store. It's a project requirement comes over here. Okay. So Git is a place, the actual code what I write. Okay.
So
After that, we
another question. So actual code, source code from the developer, right, is reside in Git at the repository, right? But my
yes.
question is, are we performing the CM activities before or after we are uploading in Git?
So before, okay. So now see, if you want to perform some task in Chef, so what you have to do, you have to write down the Chef cookbooks. Okay. So we write the cookbooks and we doesn't upload to the Chef server directly. We don't assign the task directly to Chef server. We write the cookbooks on your workstation. These cookbooks stored onto the cookbook onto the Git. Okay. So we stored here. We write the code, and once it's code, we use a continuous integration job, and we it's an individual cookbook, right? So we form into zip file, means we all extract it, and using CA job we extract the zip file, and this zip file is stored into S3 bucket or Nexus. Okay. After that, we use a continuous delivery job, and this zip file we upload onto the Chef server here again. Onto the zip file we upload here. That's how it works.
Okay.
Okay. So we write the cookbooks and we put into the Git. After that, using Jenkins, we convert zip file. After that, we upload into the place. From here, we upload into the Chef server, and then from Chef server, we execute on the server level. on the servers. Okay, so how the Git and Jenkins we use for this complete continuous integration and delivery, I'm going to show you that. So once it's done, finally, we use Nagios to monitor our infra. The complete infra, what we build on AWS, how you monitor. Okay, so we're going to see how you monitor your CPU, RAM, so all the services. I'm going to show you. So once it's done, so this is what your complete infra is going to be. So these kind of infrastructure, how you build on Docker and Kubernetes microservices. The same thing, how you deal with your microservices, Docker and Kubernetes. I'm gonna explain that.
So what Dockers and Kubernetes microservices does?
So, example, now you got an Apache application. Okay, now example, let's say now what on server what you do basically. Okay, now you want to build an infra like application, okay, or a database server, or maybe a web server. What the complete infrastructure like application, database, web servers you're gonna build on EC2 server. The same kind of thing, okay, instead of creating on a server, creating each server and for individual server you are creating individual application. Instead
Hmm.
of doing that, what I can do on single server, I will develop using Docker. On single server I can develop all my applications. Okay, so now example, if I open my
So
terminal,
it's like
okay,
on the one server, I will be creating different instances.
exactly. So now see, now example, this is my server, let's say this is my server. Okay, on my server if you want to see the process, how you do ps minus ef, right? These are my process. I do ps minus ef, I got immediately, I got lot of process running. So docker will when you do docker uh, docker space run followed by your image name like ubuntu. Okay, when you use ubuntu and you when you ask to run, it will create a container. Okay, this container will come up using your process. Single process will build single container. Okay, so that's the beauty of the docker. Okay, it will use a single process to build your single container. So until so while creating the docker instances, what we do is in the docker files we defined our how much cpu and ram it has to use to build its resource, means to bring the container how much cpu and ram you require. So until if your server has that much cpu or ram, enough cpu and ram, then it uses that and it comes up docker. Okay, so along with that we use Kubernetes is like an orchestration. Orchestration means in EC2 Amazon you have a auto scaling group everything, right? So similarly in Docker also you require that if Docker containers goes down, your environment will screw up. Okay, so when you use a production like environments with the Docker, so what we do is we do orchestration with the Kubernetes. We write a automation deployment files. Okay, we create a deployment files and we define in the Docker is defined in the Kubernetes, and then we deploy the deployment file. Then automatically your complete environment comes up. How you build that complete environment with Kubernetes, I'm going to show you that. How you write the deployment files, how you write these services, how you expose your services to outside world. Okay, when you deploy an application on Docker level, all those things I'm going to show you. So this is complete training. I'm going to cover in my training classes. Clear?
Okay, Gopal, one question, like
Yeah.
the entire syllabus which you showed us, okay? So
Mm-hmm.
everything you are going to complete in 45 classes, right?
No, it may take 45 hours. Sometimes
Okay,
it may go to 50 as well. So it's
okay,
not a fixed 45. It may go to
okay.
50 as well.
Oh, okay,
So, but mostly I'll try to complete in 45.
okay,
Okay. So whatever I show you, everything have been documented. I'll provide you the documents for everything.
okay.
Okay.
So Gopal, would you mind? I mean, what you have been doing? Are you associated with DevOps since a long time? I mean,
Yes, yes.
what you are up to?
So I use so many tools in my career. So here, these are the most used tools right now in the environments. Okay, the most flexible and more easy to use and more what I can say more the more powerful tools, whatever I show you here. These are what I've been covering in this section.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll go through that on that. Okay, so from Friday, I'll just at what level, what all competitors tools against for this, everything I'll explain you.
No,
Okay,
I'm all
so
okay with that. Thank you so much for this synopsis. Even if we start this and absorb this in within 45 to 50 classes, and there will
yeah,
be I think, a good start. As you're saying, these are very latest and up to the market, right? So, and once you
yes,
get
yes,
good hands-on on these,
yes,
then
yes,
it
yes, yes.
will be beneficial, I believe.
Yeah, right, right, right.
And
Okay, yes.
Gopal, like, yeah, before we close, like, this self-scripting you told in the beginning.
Mhm.
So are we
Yes, yes,
going
yes, sir.
to use self-scripting extensively in this, or like in this process, whatever you were explaining,
Uh, yeah.
or
So
it's just?
we gonna use, okay, not extensively, but
Mhm.
you should be knowing that in real time scenario.
Oh, okay, okay.
You should be knowing, because definitely, because you write, when you write your Jenkins jobs, or when
Mm-hmm.
you automate your cookbooks or Ansible.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are familiar with that, it will be helping you a lot in these places.
Okay.
But Gopal, you know that we are not developer, right? We are
No, no,
mostly
no.
are
Don't,
from the
don't
operating
worry.
side. So I just wanted to know how this much is going to be involved with the heavily. We are ready to take this initiative. We are ready to take the absorb of scripting and all, and that's what we are learning. But my just fear is it is it is heavy development side background you need to have or operation.
No, it's not at all required heavy development background. Okay, so because here I gonna explain you from the scratch. Okay, so I think if you do a complete practical with a dedicated thing, then that's enough for you, definitely.
Sure.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
if
And
you have a operation background, if with some kind of how you deal the infrastructure, if you are having that idea, that's good enough for you.
are we going to use any kind of tool to write the self-scripting, or it's just the notepad and all? We have to start
VA editor
via
we
editor.
use.
Okay, okay,
Yes, yes, yes.
okay. That sounds good.
Okay, so let's catch on Friday, my Friday, and
Sure.
let's see more on that. Okay.
Yeah, and
Thanks, Rizwan.
before that, you will be sending the link again, right? Or
Yes, yes,
this?
yes,
Oh,
yes. I think mostly it will be same link.
oh, okay.
It's gonna catch.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Okay, thanks for your time, Gopal. I
Thanks.
appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Thanks
Gopal.
for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.